Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Thai Dubai and our 19th session of the Thai Talk series, Surviving and Thriving in a Post-COVID World. My name's Maria Pearson. I'm the General Manager of GrowMe International, and I'm a charter member with Thai Dubai. Thai is a global organization that is dedicated to growing the next generation of entrepreneurs. Thai was founded in the Silicon Valley in 1992 and has now got 61 chapters in 17 countries and more than 15,000 members. Thai Dubai offers local and regional entrepreneurs mentorship, education, network, incubation, and if you get through all of that, you may get the opportunity for investment. You've got to jump through those hurdles first. Thai Dubai has been the champion for entrepreneurship in the region for the last 17 years. And with our partners and sponsors, including In5 and Do, and the tireless efforts of our charter members, Thai annually hosts multiple programs and events to support entrepreneurs from across the wider MENA region. We want you to achieve your ambitions. We are delighted to announce today, June 10th, that our Thai mentorship program is open for applications for the cohort of 2021. This is a 12-month structured program, and if selected, you will be paired with an experienced entrepreneur and business owner for guidance, support, and the wisdom of their experience. Now, in this time, this is just invaluable because these are unprecedented, an unprecedented situation that we are living through. So if you want to find out more about the Thai Dubai Mentorship Program, please pop over to the Thai Dubai website and click on the link Apply, and it will explain to you the criteria and what you need to do to apply for selection. There is a selection process that you go through, but working your way through that selection means that you could have the chance of having guided support for the next 12 months. While you're on our website, you may also see that we're taking applications for the MENA region's Thai Women Global Pitch event. There's a prize money for the final winner of $100,000 US. And again, please go to the website and check what is required to apply for that program. Best of luck if you do. Moving on to today's Thai Talk, social distancing and contactless service are just two of the areas that COVID has accelerated businesses towards a digital transformation of some sort. We need technology to communicate with customers and to operate our business. Any wonder that McKinsey has listed cybersecurity as one of their top 5 business risks? We only have to look at Zoom for an experience of the cyber bombing through security breaches and how that impacted their reputation and being able to offer services. The theme for today's talk is continuity and security in today's world. And I now have great pleasure to introduce our moderator for today, Mr. Harry Padmanabhan. He is the CEO of, I have forgotten the name of your... Encore. I'm so sorry. And he has also been supporting entrepreneurs in the region for just the longest time. Harry, I'm going to hand it over to you. Have a good chat, guys.
Thank you, Maria. And I'm Hari Padmanabhan. That's the right way to say that, just for the correction. And yeah, looking back, it's been about 2 months since we were practically stopped in our tracks and told to stay home. Looking back at those last about 10 weeks, I'm quite amazed at how much has changed in this time. In our own ways, we have learned to get on with our lives while staying safe. to live, work, and play differently. Perhaps the one common factor across all aspects of this change or shift has undoubtedly been technology. Like I have, I'm sure many of you had large family gatherings, celebrated birthdays and anniversaries, reconnected with friends face to face, on Zoom, of course, and spent more time helping your child with schoolwork than before, and generally been quite social, all staying within the four walls of your home. And work has moved on. Customers are easier to get on a call, CEOs are more available, and turnarounds are faster since their time spent on travel or over coffee and those endless office meetings are a thing of the past. Like at this meeting, Thai Dubai has doubled or tripled its audience at our events over this time. Even as Cicely, our executive director, has been on steroids, rolling out multiple events every week. But there's been another side of the story as well. Certain sectors of the economy have been devastated, from travel and hospitality to retail, sports, live entertainment, manufacturing. But across sectors, the segment that seems to have borne the brunt of the pandemic has been the SME segment. But here too, many have been nimble and agile, quickly redefining their service or product or addressing a segment where demand has soared, such as healthcare or the government. Cicely, can we have the first poll, please? We will have these polls as we go through the session, and you will see these questions on your screen. I think the first one has come up. So, which best suits your profile? Are you a small business, a medium business, an employee, freelancer? And as you, do we wait for the results right now? Should we go on?
Yeah, we can wait for the results and share it as well, so the audience can.
Yeah, can we have the results now in the time? Yeah, that's what we expected. The biggest chunk is the small business, 56%, medium large business, 15%, and employees and freelancers. So this is really, when we thought about this program, we said we should focus on the SME. I guess the audience is proving us right on that, so that's a good start. But every organization in material of its size has changed the way it works. Today, we have two seasoned warriors with us who have navigated themselves and their organizations through many trials and tribulations and continue to do so today with more vigor and urgency given the nature of this crisis. We have Hani Ali from Do. He's Executive Vice President for their enterprise business at Do. He has the uncanny ability to combine strategy and innovation with sound business judgment and drives the enterprise business at Do to execute on his vision and strategy. He has a personal passion for startups, particularly in blockchain, AI, fintech, and e-commerce. He has an MBA from Columbia. He brings with him extensive experience working with businesses in the region and a deep understanding of how technology adoption not just changes but shifts business models in sector after sector. Hani will give us a picture of how he sees businesses adopting and thriving during and after the pandemic. Premchand Kurup. Prem, if I can say that, Prem, you're a permanent fixture in the IT landscape for the last about 4 decades, like myself. I can relate to that very well. First in India and then here in the region. And he's a parallel entrepreneur. I like the term. I think I should change my profile to parallel entrepreneur as well, from serial entrepreneur. So I've been doing as well. He's a parallel entrepreneur and has founded multiple companies in niche areas, practically each of which has been a pioneering effort in the region. The most recent has been in cybersecurity with Paramount Computers, where he engineered a management buyout in 2007, perhaps the first MBO in the UAE in the tech area. He has won numerous awards and is a prolific speaker. He will give us the flip side of the picture, covering the potential risks for businesses as they become not just driven by technology, but potentially predicated by technology, when technology becomes the voice and the artery of the business, where, everything depends on that for their function. So let me start with you, Hani. We've all seen how major crisis the world has faced in the past has caused a shift both in the development and adoption of technology and created new business models while shifting and transforming others. If I go back right from post-World War II, when IBM truly became the international business machines and went global and created what we today call the IT industry. And as Tom Friedman later put it, the dot-com bust giving the Indians a free ride into the US outsourcing market post the dot-com bust, right? So how is this crisis different, and what shifts do you see in the time ahead?
Well, Harry, thank you very much for the introduction. Very kind of you. I'm not sure I'm the best expert to talk about something which has happened, 10 weeks ago, but I'll try to give it my best shot.
Sure.
I think a lot has changed, if you allow me. A lot has changed over the past 10 weeks, like you've said. And I think businesses have not been given the opportunity, but have been forced to think about how they can adapt. And technology is a very, very important foundation for that. I think many SMEs, what we've seen is that many SMEs have been able to adapt quite quickly. And these are typically SMEs who have upgraded their technologies, who have not been worried about, moving to cloud-based applications, into embracing, the technology trends which are happening around them, while others have struggled. If you are, I'll give you a simple example. If you can no longer go to your office and everything is on a PC on your desk, how can you manage your business for 10 weeks when you're away from the office? Now, if you were someone who is, pro technology, who can use technology very easily, it's very easy. It's very easy for you. I can access my data. I can access my applications, whether I'm in the office, whether I'm sitting in a coffee shop, or whether I'm sitting at home in lockdown. And that gives you an element of control and gives you a sense of adaptability and a sense of resilience, which allows you to think about, what you need to do to change aspects of your business away from technology. So you already have something done. It's there now. How you can focus. How am I going to get my customers? How am I going to do my deliveries? How am I going to do this, and that? And so what I think the last 10 weeks have proven, that technology is something that has a big impact on how businesses adapt and how business evolve, and how businesses manage risk. And I think what we've seen in the last 10 weeks, you can compare to what's happened, in the dot-com bubble over a 2-3 year period. It's been condensed. I mean, you've seen.
Yes.
It's a very good opportunity for all of us. We've seen something which usually happens over 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It's been condensed into a 2-month time frame.
Right. I think Satya Nadella of Microsoft said that what normally happens in 18 months happens in 4 to 6 weeks in this period. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So those are my initial shots. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. I think those are changes and shifts. The question really we ask ourselves is how much of this will really continue beyond this period? How much of this will become the way in which people will work, having learned how things can be different in this, in this experience. Cicely, if you can run the second poll, we want to understand how mainly the SMEs in the audience. How has your business been impacted by what we have seen over the last 8-10 weeks? Has it been very severe on you? Very difficult for you to bounce back? Has it been initially you had an impact and you've been picking up slowly now? Or is it not impacted much at all? Or are you one of those lucky guys who's been working, it's worked to your advantage? Yeah. You know, a few in the last category, but many that we've talked to fall in one of the first few, I think. And once you've answered that, we'd like to know how you've used technology so far. Just wait a moment for those results. Yeah, I think 1 second, I think yeah. So 65% say that they were somewhat impacted and now it's picking up slowly. This is not a surprise. I think we all have felt it in some way or the other. And 25% say it's tough to bounce back. And perhaps both these categories of key respondees can get some benefit out of this, this session today to help you bounce back that much faster, better, and or pick up much faster, go forward. And have you had to change the way? Yes, 45% dramatically, and that's exactly what we're talking about. And 38% say that we had minor changes. So that gives you a good picture of how people have changed and adopted. SMEs particularly are extremely nimble. They typically are people who are hungrier than the larger ones, if I can put it that, which makes them look at different ways of handling a specific situation that comes up and quickly shift. So looking at this poll results, Hani, what would be your advice for them to kick up digitalization and go forward and go to the next step?
So, I mean, if you allow me, before I move into that, you asked the question before the poll. Once, do you think that the changes which happened over the last 10 weeks are they going to stick?
Yeah.
And I think the answer to that is, once we've embraced the technology and we've used it, constantly for a period of time, it's very difficult to give it up. Imagine, before the mobile phone, after you use a mobile phone, can you go back to not using a mobile phone? Very difficult.
Absolutely.
Once now that we've all maybe a bit too much have gotten used to video conferencing and moving from one meeting to another meeting very quickly, becoming more efficient. There's a study which says, video conferencing, this whole video conferencing trend that we're seeing right now has increased efficiency by 30 to 40%. I think when people go back to their offices, they're actually going to do video conferences from their offices instead of meeting in meeting rooms. Yeah. So I think my opinion on that question is definitely a lot of things are going to stick. Even after all of this goes away and after a vaccine has been found and everything goes back to normal. I think a lot of the technologies and a lot of the habits that we've built over the past 10 weeks are definitely gonna stick. The second question, which is, I believe, what can SMEs do to start digitizing? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So I think you need to start with baby steps, and that is, you really need to focus on the applications which you use the most to manage your business. And I think you need to apply the 80-20 rule. You will find that most of the things that you do in your business, and Prem probably can also have maybe a few points on that, given his experience in this area. You will find that 20% probably of the applications you use are responsible for 80% of your business. So the first step is to make sure that these applications you can access anywhere. And that your data is accessible from anywhere, and the processes you use to manage your company can happen regardless of you being in the office or not. And that simply means you need to embrace the new technologies. And that's not difficult because it's out there for you. So instead of, for example, using Microsoft on a PC at a PC in your office, use Office 365. Have your data in Office 365. Are you worried about security? Prem is going to talk about that in a second. But if you're fine with to have your own personal pictures on iCloud and your own data, on Android, on Google Drive, it's the same for your business. These things are very difficult to access and very difficult to hack unless someone compromises security. And now there's double authentication, and there's a lot of different things that you can do.
Absolutely.
So basically, what you're doing in your personal life, the first step is how can you leverage that in your business life in a very simple way, very simple manner. And the best way to do that is, see who you're comfortable dealing with. Are you comfortable dealing with your telecom partner? We can do this for you. We can help you. Are you comfortable dealing with the SME who sold you your PCs and your infrastructure? They will be able to help you in this. Do you want to go and talk to Microsoft or whoever? They will be able to help you with this. It's very easy now. It's not like it was, and I remember we were having this conversation, but it's not like it was, 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Right.
Everything we do now, without us really realizing it, is on the cloud.
Yeah.
In Adu, we no longer think of ourselves we no longer think of the network as connectivity. Yeah, it's not about having connections. The network is connectivity, it's the cloud, it's AI, it's security combined. That's the
Absolutely.
network.
Yeah, cloud has really come a very long way from about 10 years ago. I remember a conversation I was having with somebody to whom I was talking about the cloud. He was saying, what happens when it rains? Yeah, so it's long way from there. So I guess today, like you mentioned when we spoke about this the last time, many of you out there in the audience, I'm sure you've been using the cloud whether you know it or not. Now, a lot of people gone into the cloud without even realizing they're in the cloud. Whether you're using, whether it's Zoom or whether doing an e-commerce app, whether you're doing an e-commerce transaction or any of these things, you are using the cloud in some way or the other today. It is only the question of extending that to your business and using that as the way you work. So, Prem, can you tell us, when we talk about cloud, the first question that comes to many people's mind is, where the heck is my data sitting? Where is it going to sit? And how do I know it's safe? And how do I know it's secure? So what are the risks in keeping your data on the cloud and even running your company financials and doing financial transactions with the cloud and practically running your business on the cloud? And how do you safeguard?
Good question, Hari. Before I answer that question directly, based on the answers that have been given here by our audience, I just want to draw their attention to one very important fact, particularly useful for small business. My submission is that this is the point in time when you should not worry, you should not build. There is nothing really to worry about. You need to understand what has changed in the marketplace. You need to understand the rate at which that change is happening, and you need to know how to exploit that change. And I will substantiate this by giving an example of our friend here, Hari. When Hari started his business, it was a point in time when customers were all used to having developed software. You want a financial accounting software? You either have a set of programmers in-house and you develop this whole software. It used to take 9 months, 18 months, and companies used to go through this pain. And then they realized that this pain is just too much. And here was a company which said that, come on, I'm giving you a packaged software. It will meet 80% of your requirements.
Yeah.
And that seemed very attractive because somebody could go live maybe in a couple of months as against 1 year. And it made a huge difference. And if I remember right, Hari started his business around or immediately after the first Gulf War. So you can imagine.
We started before that. So we started in 1986. We actually started in 1986.
Wow.
88, 89, things happened.
So even the Gulf War did not affect him at all.
but you're right. We got the big fillip after the war. After the war, the growth took a different dimension.
Really
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so there will be advantages. The only thing is that I think you should not be clouded in your judgment by what is the business you are in today. You have to look at how you can exploit the change in the marketplace, see what is the transformation that is possible. Because the fundamental nature of your business is what? You have got some good customers. So what else can you offer the customers that can be something completely new? And I still remember how at Paramount we moved from PC into internet security. This was in the year 98, 99. And at that time, when I spoke to Dubai Water and Electricity, they said you would be soon paying your water and electricity bills over the internet. I spoke to Dubai Port Authority. They said the bill of lading will be done over the internet. I spoke to the Deputy Director of Dubai Immigration. He said, you would be applying for your visas online. And I told myself, all of a sudden, what is this internet? I don't even have an email ID. So what I realized at that time was, if the bulk of the customers are going to move to the internet, that is the change that is happening in the marketplace. Then for a small niche company like Paramount, it would be possible to compete with the big boys in IT if you identify a niche that is on the internet, and that niche is internet security. At that time, there was nobody doing internet security in the Gulf. So the same thing I advise companies, and I want to reiterate again, at that point in time, I myself did not know the spelling of internet security. So you don't have to worry as a small business.
I find that hard to believe, Prem, that you didn't know the spelling of the
Prem, you
for that matter, now also I don't know because everything has moved to the cloud.
That's right. You don't even spellings anymore. I remember the day
what you're saying is very interesting, Prem. When you recharge your cell, your data is on the cloud. When you pay your, you use Dubai Now, the application for Dubai Now, or all of the applications which are done by the Dubai government, or all these are on the cloud.
Everything
they're on a local cloud in the UAE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking of the time when Etisalat announced that they're going to provide email IDs, and I was in their office 9 o'clock in the morning, so that I'm the first there before everybody else, and got the ID I wanted. Personally, physically went there and got my ID, .ae ID. So yeah, those were different days. But coming down to what we're talking about. Yeah.
To answer your question, see, when you move data to the cloud, you should first of all understand that there are security risks, and you must have a risk management process, a risk mitigation process in place. Not avoid putting data in the cloud. That is not the solution to the problem. So have a risk mitigation process, and that is very relatively simple, because in cloud security, the security is a shared responsibility between the cloud provider and you. So first understand what the cloud provider provides. So make use of that native level of security. Some people are quite happy with that native level of security because let's say you move from 0 to 5. But suppose a large organization, let's say a bank like First Abu Dhabi Bank or Mashrat Bank, they say that, I'm not happy with 5, I want to move from 5 to 8. There are specialized companies that can offer technologies, processes, people that will enable them to move from 5 to 8. And that is going to have a certain amount of cost impact. So it can be done in a very structured manner. As far as small business is concerned, I think you should not even worry about security as far as the movement is concerned. Make that move, mitigate that.
Excellent. Yeah, cybersecurity has come a very long way again. And but on the other hand, some of the data that we see when we look at the web, like identity theft numbers, which have doubled in the US, for example, from about 330,000 in 2014 to 650,000 last year. With just one incident in Capital One that exposed 100 million consumers, right? Payment card frauds accounted for an estimated loss of $9 billion in 2018, the data says. So Prem, who is winning, the cops or the robbers? How does an SME move to making financial transactions and all the rest of it?
See, one of the things that you need to understand is that apart from this entire world population that is going to move to the internet. You're going to have a lot of IoT devices. Everything is connected to the internet. So the thing about this whole area about attack is that I remember in this book, Sun Tzu in The Art of War, he has said that if you know yourself and you know your enemy, then you don't have to worry about the outcome of 100 battles. Now, if you know yourself but you don't know your enemy, then at best you have a 50-50 chance. So now, for instance, we are talking about COVID. Has COVID reduced significantly? But people will go out. But when you go out, you will have a mask, you will have gloves, you will have sanitizer, you will wash your hands with soap after coming home. So all this basic hygiene, there is a set of basic hygiene practices that you have to follow in security as well. Now, unfortunately, this is not taught. People don't follow this. And then you have all the attacks that happen. So I think that can be addressed by the education.
Hani, any word from you on that? From a provider standpoint, the way you look at security and the way you protect the consumer, of whom you have very large numbers, is a different ballgame. So
yeah. So I think I don't want to. I will try to simplify it a little bit to our audience. But in general, when you are talking about security for your business, you need to maybe look at three different aspects. Number one is the application, what we call the application layer. That's a very fancy word to say that you need to have a password to access the software that you use. Okay, that's number one. The second one is security on what we call the access point layer. So it's, security for your Wi-Fi routers, for example, which is very simply a very smart way of saying you should have a password to access your Wi-Fi, and you should not give that password to anyone.
yeah, that's it.
And then we have the third layer of security, which the big banks use and the mission critical companies use, which is security on the connectivity layer, which is to have secure, dedicated connections, whether it's virtual or actual physical connections, actual physical fibers, secure dedicated fiber, to connect your businesses and to connect your ecosystem to the larger internet. Now it's the cost of doing that was very big in the past, but now with what we call SD-WAN technology has become very cost effective, and SD-WAN technology is again a very sophisticated way of just having a very smart router, basically, which allows you to get that dedicated functionality on the public network instead of having a dedicated connection. So to summarize, as a business, ideally, depending on what type of business you're in, you need to have these three layers of security. And of course, Prem here is the expert. I'm speaking under his control here. So, but you need to have something on the application layer, password for your software, something on the access layer, so passwords and security or firewalls, even if you use McAfee or something like this, for your routers, which for your own internal network. You don't need to worry about that if you are on LTE or on the wireless network, because we as the operators take care of that for you. And then the third part is the actual physical connectivity. You can use a lot of different solutions for that.
Right.
That's it to simplify it. And Prem, please, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. I know you're the expert.
To add to that, Hani, for the SMEs, if you want to, let's say, suddenly move to work from home in a secure manner, and you want to have, let's say, 10 or 20 of your people who are currently using your financial accounting system, you want to use that in a secure manner. See, from a spend point of view, you will end up spending only about somewhere between $50 to $70 per year per person. That's not a big ask for safety. I think it's a relatively, forget what technology is used. It can be any technology, but it addresses the issue of security. You have an ERP software. You can settle all invoices, create purchase orders. Everything can be done in a secure manner from home.
Absolutely, and that's the big shift that's happened. The whole idea of pay as you go. One of the biggest concerns that people had, and maybe we have one more poll. Sizzling, we're done.
I want to say one thing though. just to follow up on that, all of the major cloud providers really have very strong security. Whether you're talking about your local telecom operator, or you're talking about the big global players such as Amazon, AWS, or Microsoft, or all of these guys have very, very sophisticated security, because they need to protect their tenants. Me as I need to be able to protect the millions of subscribers I have on my network. So we have dedicated security operation control centers, these type of setups. But where do things go wrong? Things go wrong when someone gets your password. It's just very simple. Even if you have like the latest technology and the best security in the world, if you give someone your password, or you're careless with your that kind of information, or you have it on a post-it note on your laptop, so you don't forget it, or you have it saved somewhere, and that's how the problems happen. It's not about the technology, it's about human behavior.
Hygiene is promising, absolutely. So the next survey really addresses the main concerns that people have when they think about getting on with technology as a way of doing business. There's initial cost. Do I have sufficient know-how in-house? Will I lose my data? So if you can answer those questions, we'll get a sense of where you are in this whole process of looking at it, and how do you perceive this whole thing. And we'd also like to know your current usage. Are you already there with your key applications? Are you looking to get in? And what are your primary concerns? So, but one of the things like we've been talking about in the meanwhile is that, this whole idea of paper use, software as a service, paper use has changed the way technology is consumed. We don't talk about usage anymore. We talk about technology consumption, where you really pay for what you use, and that has made it extremely simple and straightforward for any size of company to come on board and use it. There are the results. Main barrier, I can see, it is a
initial cost.
straight split between initial cost and lack of know-how expertise. And I think if you have not answered that, let me just re-emphasize that. The initial cost is practically zero. You start paying only once you use. I'm saying practically zero because you need some time and internal cost to prepare for it in terms of getting your data and basic hygiene and discipline that you want to bring in. Other than that, from a technology standpoint, you start paying as you use it. Again, trial this most software that's available for free trial for the first 30 days. And only after that they charge you, so you can understand how to use it at no cost. And lack of know-how expertise is not an issue at all. If you can use a computer, if you're doing your email, if you're doing your e-commerce, if you're booking book my show tickets for your next movie, you can also run your financial application, practically speaking, if I can put it that way. And I think we have talked about the security already, so I won't go into that. And those who are partially on board, we trust that this will give you the confidence to move forward and do more on it, and give you the agility. So that's what I want to touch upon, Hani, and maybe Prem as well. Hani, the kind of flexibility that is needed to face not only the current times, but how we see what's coming ahead, right? And can you say something about how you've seen companies use technology as a platform to do that, and how it's worked?
So, if there's one thing we all need to learn from what happened, the past 10 weeks, is that the agile, the adaptable, the faster are the ones who thrive and succeed in the market. And it all, before technology, if you allow me, Harry, it all starts with mindset.
Absolutely.
If you have that mindset, then this is the time for you, because as an SME, you have an inherent advantage that you can be faster, and speed is very important. Speed of changing, these times are no longer about having a scenario A and a scenario B, or a plan A, a plan B, or a contingency plan. It doesn't work, because you see what happened in the last 10 weeks. Every week there's almost a different operating environment. Oh, it's fully closed. No, it's 30% open. No, it's 100%. No, we need to do this. No, the curfew now is, or not the curfew, I mean the lockdown is from 8 o'clock. No, it's 10 o'clock. No, we're back to. You need to be able to adapt. So it's not about having scenarios, it's about having the resources, the mentality, and the technology to allow you to pivot quickly and change your operating model quickly. And that is what we mean by agility and adaptability. And that's going to be the key competitive advantage which defines winners, in the next, couple of years in the market. The restaurants, if you take the restaurant business here, you asked me about examples. The number of restaurants who did online delivery before the pandemic and now has completely changed. But not everyone has done it. I have a couple of good restaurants, which I'm not going to name, of course, but I can't find them online. I couldn't find them online on any app. And while others, which I didn't know before, now they do, and they didn't do before. And so what happened now? They grew, they got the business. They're growing. Those who were able to change their model from dine in to takeout or to delivery have succeeded. This is a very simple example, and I think we've all seen it. The supermarkets who have been able to adopt their model and alter their model from just shopping inside the shop to actually offering delivery services for groceries, their business, how do you think their business thrived over the last 10 weeks? Definitely double and triple digit growth. Definitely. Now, and it starts with mindset. And so if you're able to have the proper mindset, have the proper infrastructure, cloud is critical for something like this, and you have the proper discipline and resources in place, then you'll be able to be agile and change as the market changes. I think the age of just simple scenario planning is gone.
Sure. So yeah, that's really sums it up. And Prem, any quick comments before we move on to Q&A?
Just to put in a snapshot what both you and Hani have told the audience, to be nimble. I remember in nursery we learned, Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over the candle. Then when we become big, we forget this completely.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you open it up for Q&A if there are any, Cicely?
Yeah. Hari, do you want to pick out the questions from Q&A? If you open your Q&A button, there are quite a few.
Let me do that. Q&A, yes, I can see Q&A. Okay, we've got first one. The Zoom calls, WebEx and other solutions, etc. worked very well during working from home, as most employees use their laptops and own machines from home. Okay, that's just a comment. How would support vendors approach them who serve these customers when they go back to their organizations and need customer support? I think what he's talking about is if I'm a vendor serving a financial institution, banks, provide them support over Zoom calls, how can I serve them when they use their enterprise systems at work now? Not very clear about the question, but are you saying that if somebody supported you with Zoom calls today, how will this continue to support? Why wouldn't they continue to support the same way? That's exactly what Hani was saying and Prem and all of us alluded to. That if you found a simpler way of doing something today, why would you not continue with it once it's over?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the change is going to stay.
Yeah. Any opinions on what will happen in a post-COVID world? Will we go back to personal encounters at fairs? Will they disappear eventually in a couple of years? Anybody's question, I guess. Who knows? Any comments?
We are social. We are social animals. So we will have encounters, but I think this COVID is not the last. I don't think COVID is going to be the last. Such should I say what pandemic, or it's going to be the last disease which we see, which could have an impact like this. I think as a society, we are going to be definitely a more digital society now compared to where we were before this. Think of what happened, when railroads came came into humanity, when electricity came into humanity, when cars came, when computers first came. I think we're talking about this shift is going to happen, or it's happening. It doesn't mean that because we're using trains and cars that we no longer walk. You know what I mean? So yeah, yes, you will. Yes, we will have personal encounters, but it will not be as frequent, I think. Or it might be. It depends really on what's going on, in the environment.
Right.
That's my personal point of view.
I think we have some more interesting questions coming in now. It says an MSME sector company can't afford full-time IT person. Is outsourcing IT part good, competitive, safe way? Well, I think this is what we've tried to answer during this period. But what you sum it up, all we're trying to say is that you really don't need to have expertise to use applications today with SaaS and with software as a service available on the cloud, pay as you go.
Everything is a wizard now. You can. Yeah. It's almost self-service.
Absolutely. This is an interesting question, Hani. Maybe you can take this. Will Zoom, Teams, Meet, etc., be blocked again once COVID blows over?
This question is definitely above my pay grade.
Well said. Well said.
I think the world. I think we had internet calling pre-COVID. We have an application called Botem. We have internet calling packs, which have a number of different applications. I can't recall all of them right now, but we had this before COVID. What happened post-COVID is that we've expanded this. We've expanded this offering now to include a lot of other things. But we've always had an internet calling offering. So again, I think things definitely, and we've added certain things recently also. And I think after COVID, things are going to be different than before COVID. That's my personal opinion.
Sure. PK has got a question about what freebies we're enjoying today. Is a lot of it has given a lot of what we're using today, like free Zoom calls, telcos opening up, VoIP, etc., has been given to the users during this time. What will be the long-term costs, and will the SMEs be able to pay that over the time?
I'm not sure I really understand the question.
I think the question is affordability of these, currently free services potentially becoming payable post-COVID. Whether it's VoIP.
So usually, any service there's two aspects to it, right? There is the cost of usage, and there's the cost of the license itself. So Zoom right now has a free offering. If you want to upgrade. Not only Zoom, most video conferencing applications have a free offering, a basic free offering. However, they have also a payable offer. Just like email, you can have a free email from company X, but if you want a certain, no advertising, for example, or you want certain things, it comes at a cost. So most of what we've seen from the application providers over the last 10 weeks is that they have a free offering to support the community and to support the digital transformation of societies, and then they have a premium offering. From us, from an operator point of view, we don't charge anything extra on these applications.
Great, that's good to hear. Prem, you can give this a shot. In a BYOD environment, that is, bring your own device environment. What recommendations or best practices do you have with regards to personal devices used for work or education purposes while maintaining security?
I don't know if Prem wants to take that.
Yeah. For BYOD devices, to ensure security for the organization, let's say the organization wants it to be secure, let us assume that for the first instance, the user is not really worried about it because it is the organization's data. Let's assume that. Now, the best way, the most cost-effective way, and the highest in terms of security would be to adopt what is called the SDP, which is software-defined perimeter. So you can implement a SDP solution very quickly. What happens then is that before you access any data that is owned by the organization, which is inside the office, let's say the data center, or it is in the cloud, what the SDP system first does is that it checks your device, make sure that this device is authentic, make sure that the time at which you are making that connection is right, the place from where you are establishing the connection is also okay. So it clears the device. Once the device is cleared, you are then asked to authenticate. You can have a multi-factor authentication immediately implemented. So you get an OTP, let's say on your mobile, you put in that, you get access. And once you get access, you are now inside an encrypted tunnel. And through that encrypted tunnel, you only go and hit that application that you have authorization to access. You can't go anywhere else. This is a very simple implementation. And I think that world over, VPN will probably get replaced with SDP. And it is very useful for SME. The VPN is where it's more complicated. You need to have an IT person and all that. In this case, you don't need anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all of this is getting very, very much more simplified than what it was many years ago. And that's where the technology always moves ahead, right? So one more on security is, what security challenges would organizations face if they open up to adopt Zoom and other VoIP communication at workplace?
All the Zoom-based security is also being addressed in a progressive manner. So I don't think you need to worry about it. If you take a company like ADNOC, they've done something like 15 million minutes of meetings in a month. Just imagine the bandwidth. So I don't think you need to worry at all. You just go ahead and do that. Security issues in Zoom will get addressed over a period of time.
Great. Yeah. So I think we're running out of time. I don't know how much time. Hani, you want to say, you have any comment there?
No, I'm just saying, let's say, for example, you're worried about Zoom, you can use something else. There's a lot of applications, you know, I mean,
Teams,
there's a lot of applications, but my eye caught a very interesting question, Harry. It's around trust. A lot of my customers, SME, tend to get conned by vendors who work on high sales targets, but never deliver the promise. I see a huge trust deficit in the whole technology sales, and there has to be a way to minimize this. Vendor sales targets cannot define level of tech adoption. Is there a model from other markets to regulate this or establish best practices? What caught my eye in this is something actually which is fundamental to the changes which happened over the last 10 weeks. Over the last 10 weeks, business was done at the speed of trust. You know, trust is what defined the speed between customers and restaurants or vendors. If trust is not there, then no matter what you do, no matter how agile you are or how adaptable you are, you're not going to succeed. So, trust is fundamental, and building trust with your customers is something which doesn't have a best practices. It's just about ethics and what you promise to deliver. And I think that's another element, definitely, which really came to the forefront, I think, over the last 10 weeks.
So I think running out of time, Cicely, you have some housekeeping to do before we finish. Are we done, or are we okay? There's one more question. Do we have time for one more question, Cicely?
Yeah, I was just going to say maybe we can close with one last question.
Oh, okay. So how do you decide which cybersecurity implementer or vendor to work with? Ashish Punjabi. I think, Prem, you got to do a consulting assignment with him. This is going to cost you money, Ashish, not free of charge.
This is like asking, which is the cardiologist I must go to.
Yeah. No, I think you have one on the panel right now. His email ID is available. I can send it to you, and as long as I get my commission. Okay, so good. I think let's. I think there's one more. Yeah, that's fine. So good. So I guess it's been a. Thank you everybody for all your insights. I've got some quick responses saying thank you for the feedback and the inputs and the insights from a few of the in the audience. Oh, I'm sorry. I think there's one more question about, while all speakers appear to be very relaxed about security, this remains a major concern. knowing that every few months we have major security breach. Don't mistake our physical body language of relaxation for how we think about it. That's all I want to say before I hand it over to Prem and to Ani. Yeah, final comments on that, Ani?
So relax. I think we're relaxed because we're all sitting at home. That's one of the benefits
absolutely.
of having these. Look, I think we take security very, very seriously, especially as being a key infrastructure provider, to the country. And if we didn't have the proper infrastructure in place and the proper security, policies in place and protocols, it would have been very difficult to operate as a UAE economy, during the last 10 weeks. I think most of the security issues again start with human behavior, someone getting your password. I mean, that's 90% of the cases, someone getting your password somehow, and Prem, can correct me if I'm wrong, but from a technology point of view, it's really very, very difficult. Very, very difficult, just purely from a technology point of view, to breach security if you have the proper checks and balances in place. Usually it's due to human error. And that is something which cannot be eliminated 100% because we're talking about human errors. It can be reduced, but I don't think it can be eliminated 100%, but you can have the risk mitigation, policies in place to make sure that it doesn't impact your business in a significant way. And I hand it over to Prem maybe to comment on this.
Just to add to what Hani said, we understand and appreciate today that cybersecurity is a very, very complex area. To a large extent, it is like healthcare. You have a cardiologist, you have an orthopedic surgeon, you have a gynecologist, you have a gastroenterologist. Now, if you ask the gastroenterologist something very, very specific and deep about your heart, he's not going to be able to answer. So, and there is also a paucity of talent, not only in this region, across the world today. This is one industry where we are falling short by about 3 million people. That is the number of people today that is required to protect and detect the complete infrastructure that is available in the world. And these people are not available. So it's a huge challenge that way. And therefore, we will all face some difficulty or the other.
And I agree, Prem. And maybe just to close on this one. If I don't have an antivirus and I get a virus, who's to blame?
That's exactly where we are. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like I said, just to simplify things, you should look at security at the 3 layers I talked about: application layer, the software you use; the access layer, your Wi-Fi network or your routers or whatever; and your service provider. You need to make sure that if you have security at these 3 levels, 99% of the time you should be fine. There shouldn't be anything which could cause you not to sleep.
There is one question on startups which I don't want to miss before we close. It says, how do you feel? Where did that go? What's your hunch on the success for new startups post-COVID scenario, and how long do you expect this to last? Hani?
So I think the startup scene is gonna explode post-COVID because I think it's a combination of 2 things. Number one, I think a lot of people, unfortunately, are going to have a lot of free time on their hands, which is gonna, get them thinking about startups. So that's number one. Number two, there's a lot of different opportunities which we're seeing, in the logistics area. In the logistics, I mean by what? By delivery companies, warehousing companies. You're talking, for example, in e-healthcare, telehealth, telelaw. Should the restaurant model be only eat in and delivery, or are you going to have an option of takeout? So you book a time at the restaurant, you go pick up your meal on your and you take it home with you. There's a lot of different things. There's a lot of different things when you think about it, which are going to have a lot of opportunities. So if I want to try on clothing, and I'm worried about trying it on in a shop, in the fitting room, what a company is going to come up with a artificial intelligence application which allows me to take a picture of a celebrity wearing something, and it tells me what brand it is, what size it is, which shops is it available in, and so I can order it online. There's a lot of different things, which a lot of different opportunities, and I think the startup scene is going to be completely different than it.
We're absolutely run out of time, and we'll ask more comments. But I guess thank you very much, everybody, to have been on this webinar with us for this hour. I really trust that your time was worth it. And that if you liked it, tell everybody. If you didn't like it, tell us only. Tell Cicely, and we'll see what areas we can improve on and do the next one better. So there is an event survey that's out there. So was the event informative and knowledgeable? You can see the survey. Please respond to that before you close and leave for this afternoon. Have a nice evening, rest of the week and the weekend. Stay safe and all the best in whatever you're doing to see through this period, come out of it with a certain resilience and a shifted different way of doing things that we hope will see you through any such eventuality in the future. All the very best to all of you.
Thank you. Best of luck to all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.